Good evening. It is Tuesday, June 20th, and I would like to call the board meeting of the Oswego City School District to order. Tom Chiappa.
Here.
Pamela Dowd is absent today. Jim McKenzie.
Here.
Sean Onmacht. Dave Crisafulli.
Here.
Lisa Glidden is here, and Maura Dempsey. Not yet. Okay. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll begin this evening with our floor to the public. Each speaker is permitted 3 minutes. Speakers may not yield their time to others. All comments should be made directly to the board president. The board will listen to comments and input, but not necessarily debate or discuss items. Operational matters will be directed to school administration for handling. The board is not permitted to address personnel or individual student matters in open session. The board has the authority to end a speaker's comments or close public comment as appropriate. Any additional written correspondence or letters may be directed to the board clerk for distribution to the board. The board expects proper decorum, and all speakers, please state your name and address. Jen.
Good evening, board. I just wanted to take a quick moment to represent the ACTA and to thank Lisa Glidden, Pam Dowd, and also Maura Dempsey for your years of service and your dedication. I know there's a lot of hours besides what we all see here at the board meeting. There's a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of probably crashing carts at the grocery store. Hey, did you hear about? So I just wanted to thank the three of you. Sorry, two of them aren't here. I just wanted to thank you again for being a representative. I know it's not always an easy job, but it is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to begin this evening with some recognitions. And I'm actually going to come out there just to make it a little bit less awkward. All right, so Moreno, would you mind coming up? So our first recognition today is presented to Moreno Fenty, who is brought back to Oswego the New York State Federation champion title in the triple jump with a school record of 47 feet, 2.5 inches on June 10th, 2023. That is absolutely amazing, and congratulations for all of your hard work on behalf of the students, faculty, and staff. Congratulations. We have 2 additional recognitions that we'll see if I believe the students are coming but are not here yet, so we'll move on, and then we'll have time to go back if we need to.
So I have a couple of recognitions as well. One is for Pam Dowd, who is not with us tonight, but earlier we gave her a certificate when we saw her, and the other is for, of course, Dr. Lisa Glidden. A special thank you from the students, faculty, and staff of the Oswego City School District for your dedicated service as the president of the Board of Education. So we made this really incredible certificate for you.
I will treasure it. I will. It's not sarcastic.
And this is for you as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yep. I'm going to come out for the other.
Right.
All right, so our next recognition goes to Ms. Sarah Westcott. Sarah, would you mind coming up? So Sarah, this is congratulations to you. Sarah was qualified and then was selected to attend the National Association of Music Educators Eastern Division Mixed Chorus Competition, which is quite an honor. I believe you were the only student in Oswego County who represented us. And we are very proud of you and look forward to what you do in the future. Congratulations, Sarah. Okay, so we will hold off on Maura to the end. Now we'll go back to our regular agenda. I moved an item, so our next up is for the Board of Education. I pulled an item from the consent agenda up to the Board of Education so that we could discuss the dates of the Board of Education meeting for next academic year. The Board of Education meetings, as we noticed this year, sometimes fell during school holidays, sometimes fell right after school holidays, which made agenda review very difficult. So hopefully people have the proposal. The changes, so the first item is a question of whether we want to do, or whether you want to do a Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, November 21st. That is a half day of school, and it is the Thursday right before the Thanksgiving break. Sorry, the Tuesday right before the Thanksgiving break. So that is the one that's, I don't know if there's any discussion or if people have thoughts on that particular one. And then I have a number of changes for January and February that fit in with each other, so I'll deal with those separately. So does anyone have any thoughts on the November 21st meeting date?
For me, I'm good with all of them, whatever, but whatever the majority wants, I'll be there for whatever. So,
Because I think that Tuesday is, I'm going to ask to see if we have a principal here. Are those also still parent-teacher conferences that day, which do sometimes go into the evening? Okay. Okay, okay. I mean, for the moment, you can leave that one up and then see how much business you have as it comes to that one. I don't know, Sean, did you have a?
Just the only question is can we go a whole month between November 7th and December 5th without a meeting?
So our policy says that we have to meet once a month. I think by law, we have to meet once a month, not just our policy. We could move it up a week if we want, which I think might have been what we did. Actually, last year when I checked, they fell on different days. It was like not the first and third, so it wasn't an issue last year. I mean, in terms of the business cycle, generally, I think in November, we're not really like appointing many people, but I don't know, it seems like we're always appointing people, so that may not be accurate. That one you can decide, I think, if you would like, when it comes time to see where you are in the business cycle. The other changes that I would recommend doing is we have right now on this calendar, the proposed calendar has the first board meeting of 2024 being on January 2nd, which puts the agenda review at the week in between Christmas and New Year. Our previous board meeting is December 19th, so not that much business is going to happen between that time. Then the second board meeting, proposed meeting in January, is the day after the Martin Luther King weekend. February 6th is a meeting, and then February 20th, that meeting is scheduled for during President's Week. So the revision that I'm proposing is to have the meeting January 9th, January 23rd, and then February 13th. Not have the meeting after that, and then go back to March 5th. So it would be, I mean, as everyone knows, February is a short month anyway, but it would be a little bit less time in between. But that would at least take away having those 3 days, 2 on the shoulders of a holiday weekend and 1 actually during a holiday week.
I'm fine with that. That works for me. Because January 2nd is my birthday, so I'd much rather, let's have it on my birthday.
Any other?
Yeah, it looks good to me. I think for those months that we have canceled, so November the 21st and February the 20th, if there's a need for another meeting, if the superintendent thinks we have things we have to act on, we can call a meeting where we're a back-to-back week that doesn't conflict with some of our, school schedule.
Okay. So I guess I would be willing to hear a motion to adopt the Board of Education meeting dates for 2023-24 as amended.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any additional discussion?
Just clarify what the changes are, so Diane has. Do you have them all? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, all right, thank you. That should save some scrambling during the year next time. Okay, next up is our superintendent's report. It's very slow today.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
it's not open. Thank you. Well, I'll be brief. Thank you. As we have a presentation tonight, so I'm going to keep my comments brief, but I wanted to just talk about a couple of celebrations I was able to get to witness this past week. We had the Senior Athlete Awards, and that included the signing. You can see the students there who signed to participate in sports at the collegiate level next year. So that was a really nice event outside. It ended up being a beautiful night, by the way. That was a really nice event on Wilbur Field. And then the picture at the bottom was the middle school graduation, which got moved last minute because of a concern of rain. I don't think it actually rained, but there was a concern about it, so it got moved from Wilbur Field into the middle school gymnasium, and you can see that it was a full house, but it was a great event, and really appreciated getting to see it and be a part of it, and it was very nice to see all the families that showed up to support, and staff, obviously, to support the students. Amanda and I were right up against the wall there, because they had some reserved seats, but there were so many people who needed seats that we felt very guilty sitting in those seats, so we quickly gave those up, and we're happy that some grandparents and parents could sit there. But it was a really nice event. Just some quick reminders that this week we have half days on Tuesday through starting tomorrow. Wednesday, excuse me, it's Wednesday. I'm a day off because of the holiday, I apologize. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have a half day before starting summer vacation for our students. And then high school graduation is at 10 a.m. on Saturday at the Student Center at SUNY Oswego. And looking forward to that as well. So those are some upcoming events and some celebrations that we've had here. And next, I'm going to turn it over to Amy Molloy, principal at Fitzhugh, along with Beth O'Key and Jake Herrick, correct? And they have a presentation that I believe the board asked for a presentation related to the Leader in Me program. And so they're going to give us a brief presentation on that program and how it works at Fitzhugh.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Gordon, and the Board of Education. My name is Amy Molloy, I'm the elementary principal at Fitzhugh, and I have brought two of my teachers, probationary reading teachers, who will be appointed tonight with me, who run some of our Leader in Me activities and events, and I thought I'd bring them along so they could share their experience as well. This is Mrs. Beth O'Key, and I have Mr. Jake Herrick to my left. So just a couple of things, if you could go to the next slide. There's three main components of the Leader in Me philosophy or the Leader in Me program that really encompass everything that we do here at Fitzhugh. And again, it's my first year here. I was in another building at Sandy Creek as the middle school principal, and we had that here, and very similar components here. But it really works really well here at Fitzhugh. We have family involvement. We have about 3 to 4 family nights a year that incorporate the Leader in Me 7 habits of highly effective people. And Beth and Jake will get into that when we talk to the next few slides. Part B, the staff social emotional teaching readiness. We have also, there's an SEL component of Leader in Me that we have in the curriculum that we also use within our teachings on a daily basis. And then the student leadership piece is our student lighthouse teams that Beth and Jake oversee and run, and that they'll speak more about. The cultured and shared leadership areas there. Every 2 years, Leader in Me has a measurable results assessment that we do that really targets how we're doing in these areas about staff satisfaction, student engagement, and a supportive environment. And I will speak to that at the next slide, but we just finished that piece again just last Friday. I just don't have those results for you right now. And then the next piece is about academics and empowering learners. And again, Beth and Jake will speak more to that in our next few slides. But the student-led achievement piece, we talk about WIGs and student binders, our wildly important goals is what this is standing for. And then the teacher efficacy piece is more about our teachers producing student leaders and buy-in. And Beth and Jake can also speak to those pieces. So I'm turning the next slide over to you. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to be honest with you. This is my second year here in Oswego, and Jake's third. Yep. Okay. So I did not know anything about Leader in Me when I got into it last year, and I kind of like threw myself into the Leader in Me nights to learn about it, and it's amazing. It is our culture at Fitzhugh Park. It is all that we do at Fitzhugh Park is talk about win-win situations and talking about responsibility and leadership and how to, be leaders in the world, not just at school, but out there too. So we do family mission statements. Leader in Me nights, let me just explain a little bit more. On Leader in Me night, what we do is we have the parents separate from the kids. The kids will come downstairs. We do have a couple of kids that now stay upstairs and do a portion of the family part too, which is kind of fun. But the adults learn they learn how to use the Leader in Me, the 7 habits, not only here at school, but to use it at home with their kids too. And it's a really fun thing because it gets them involved with their kids too. And we've had a lot of success with that, I do know, over the last few years. And I believe that we started Leader in Me, I want to say it was 2016, 15. Jamie Brancato was telling me. She's one of the ones who started all of this. So I'm trying, Jamie. But it is a huge, huge portion of what we do. And our families have become stronger because of, I really truly believe because of that. We've had family members come up and talk to us and tell us how they love our Leader in Me nights because they are learning things that they've taken home, setting goals at home for their kids, and their kids set them with them. It's a nice culture at our school. I don't know what else do we want to say.
Going off, I've also started this year attending the Leader in Me nights, and one of the things that really stood out to me this year is the family mission statements. And it's like, as a family unit, you're always spending time together, but when I saw the families have the aha moment of, we come up with mission statements and, not necessarily be a better family, but be, practice these Leader in Me habits and practice the language at home. And I really enjoyed seeing how that can translate from school to home.
Yeah. And we've had parents tell us that it's been wonderful. So, we are making a difference with some of our families too, which is huge at Fitzhugh. I think the next slide. Student Lighthouse team. I volunteered this year to be the Student Lighthouse leader, not really knowing what I was getting into, and I loved it. It was so much fun. So we take two students from every grade level, K through 6 in our school, and we put them together, and we basically split them up into groups, tasks. We have, what do we call them, our grounds crew?
Yeah, we have our grounds
We have
crew.
grounds crew, we have
Safety patrol.
safety patrol, we have, oh my gosh, we have so many things, lost and found.
Yeah.
We have so many different little things. The garbage picker, we have the garbage pickers. I don't know if you've ever seen them. Those
Those
are
are
the
the
biggest hit in the world with elementary kids. They think it's so cool to go around and do that and throw trash out. Whatever, works. But we do have that. We every single week. We've also talked about different things. This year we talked about carbon footprints and how to do better with not leaving our carbon footprint. They had to learn what it was, first of all, which was really fun. So we did that this year. Our adult lighthouse team is our staff. We have, how many people are on that, do you think?
wanna
I
say
didn't look to see.
18 or 20.
I want to say 20. Our adult lighthouse team meets every month, once a month, and we plan out what's working, what's not working. And I think that's pretty much.
Well, one of the things I wanted to add was one of the things
Sorry.
we organized. You're good. It's fine. One of the things we worked together on the Lighthouse team was our recertification day, which we had earlier this year. And we worked together and we made up a schedule and we got the students, we got our Lighthouse team involved. We have a student council that also did some videos and just getting the whole school involved with using the Leader to Me and showing how in the last few years has really developed and made a great foundation for our school. We also have, shared leadership responsibilities around the school in classrooms. Our teachers use, again, using the leadership language, they have leadership roles rather than calling them classroom jobs. And it gives the students, empowers them to say, hey, I can be a leader in this way, even though it's not, what traditional other classrooms might do, but it's a really good way to promote the leadership. in the
They even
classroom.
have them fill out job applications to be the line leader, or to be, the
Paper
paper passer, the paper passer outer. I don't know what they
There's
call it. but
the electrician.
The
that takes
electricians,
care
the
of
lights. Yeah, they have all different. Every classroom has some kind of big job that they do. It's fun. Next, thank you. WIGs, the wildly important goals. Student-led conferences is a huge thing that our teachers try to do with our students. It has been very successful in some of the grades. I don't know about the younger grades, but I do know that our upper grades do these. They have books. They have a
Leadership binders.
thank you, leadership binder that they pull out and they will show them. And there's a picture of it on here too. And they have to set their own goal every month. I think they set a new goal, if I remember correctly. They set a new goal every month, and then they go in and they check off how they're going to get to that goal. They have to make a plan of how they get to that goal, and so on and so forth. And then if they've achieved it or not, why they did not. If they didn't achieve their goal, why didn't you achieve it? What could you have done differently? Makes them think, do some critical thinking about themselves and some self-evaluation. And then we take it to conferences. They do their own conferences with their parents and show them their leadership books. It's I don't know. I just love the program.
I think it's really
great.
cool for the students to have not necessarily a position of power, but for them to have a say in their conference because it gives them the chance to really reflect to both their families and to their teachers how am I doing in school? How are my grades? How is my behavior? It's a
not
really
the-
good opportunity for them.
It's not just the teacher telling the parent, no kid likes that. So.
I know some teachers practice
Whether
during
it's
the
good or
day. During the days leading up to, they practice
Yes.
leading a conference. They say, does anyone have any questions? Things like that. It's
Yep.
really a good opportunity for them.
I think the next slide kind of shows some of the things that our students actually do, the actual work of
Yep.
their work.
Yes.
These are our leadership portfolios that some of the classrooms get. They include their WIGs, they have some of their STAR literacy and math results, they can keep track of their attendance, they have opportunities for self-reflection, and they also have the celebrations, which we'll also get to in a second with the Leader of the Month certificates that they get.
If you go to the next slide, This slide kind of shows the MRA, the Measurable Results Assessment, that the Leader in Me program, when we go to recertification, we are a designated lighthouse school, which is a very,
It's hard.
Distinguishable.
yeah, it's a
Very
very
distinguished.
distinguished,
Hard to get into.
you know,
Title.
title. Not something that many schools get. I don't know the exact data, but not many get it.
No, it's hard to do,
it's
and we
very
just
hard
went
to
through
do.
it. And it was actually at the beginning of this month, we went through it. We were,
Yep, so, we'll know in a couple of weeks if we get it, but based on, everything, it looks like we will again.
looks good.
Looks good.
So obviously, data is important. Family involvement, the MRA that we use, family involvement had increased 56%, particularly in school and family partnerships. The staff satisfaction too, we see how the staff likes it, that increased 13%. And then the student-led achievement, we kind of held steady, but we are working hard on that and
Yep.
seeing an increase. Like I said, we just finished that data, so I don't have that exactly for you right now.
For
but
this year.
Can have it for you in the next couple of weeks or so, once we get that together.
Are you talking about this, Beth? So this is a picture of some of our leaders of the month. So every month, our classroom teachers nominate a student that practices best our 7 habits. And at the end of the month, they get called down to the cafeteria in front of one of our 7 habits murals. Those are our sailboats behind there. And each of the students get a picture, you get their picture taken, and it gets posted. And it's really nice for the students to be recognized through the 7 habits.
That gets put on our bulletin board for every month, and the kids love to go by and go, oh, there I am.
And
I
think
got to
if
be
you-
a leader for the month.
Yeah, and I think if you come to school, obviously, if you've been through Fitzhugh,
Yeah.
everything on the bottom floor, first floor, and second floor is all about leader and me.
It's everywhere. It's really everywhere.
Next slide, please. Obviously, data is important too to drive decisions. And I will say, you know, when I spoke with Mr. Gordon about this presentation, it's not all rainbows and butterflies, right? So you think about some of the cons of this program, I would say it's the cost of the program. The cost is $5,000. The first 4 years, my understanding is that we fundraised and grant funded for it, and then the last 3 years were supported by, I believe, ESSER money and COVID funds. That's my belief. So you want to look at discipline data, right? My understanding, when we first brought Leader and Me on, a lot of discipline issues. Since that, you can kind of see a significant decline. I know it's hard with the COVID year to talk about discipline, but as you see, I do think that there is a direct correlation with what we're doing with Leader and Me and the lesser of the discipline referrals that you see there. And again, I will have the updated data with our MRA and stuff that we can get through, but, yes, go ahead, Dr. Gooden.
Yeah, if I can just make one point about that. I can't remember the exact year Leader in Me started, but when you look at the data, I just think it's important to recognize that for the it started everyone. Oh, geez, it's true, for everyone at the same time. And so for like my daughter, I think she was in 3rd grade when they started it. So I think it's really going to be interesting to see the data really post-COVID moving forward, because those are the kids who've had it for the entire time. And I guess if I can also just say, I was really skeptical at the beginning of this. I felt like this was like the corporatization of public education, and I was really concerned with a lot of it, but it has made a huge change in that building. So, and I think that's, you know, for people who've been around for longer, it really is demonstrable, so, thank
Again,
you.
I think it's the culture and climate.
It's
Really,
totally
there's a
culture and
complete buy-in with students and staff, that, again, with the negative being the price tag that's associated to it. This is the short little video that we, and I don't want to run past any time. Mr., are we okay? Or no? You still want to see? Okay, all right. So we'd like you to see the video. The video is the best probably part of all of this. So this is the video we did for our recertification. I'm gonna go sit down. the murals that we did have there, obviously, we've gone under a construction project, so we have different paint there, but we've saved all the pictures, and we're in the process of getting some of those murals on vinyl, and we have our big tree out there. So I know some of these things that are gone right now, but we are going to replace some of them. Yeah, but no more titles, okay? Don't worry about it.
And I know that, can I just say one more thing real fast? I know that we're new to all this. A lot of the people who originally started this program are retiring or have retired or are just have moved on somewhere else to a different building or whatnot. But I know that there are several of us who are still really excited about the program and want to carry it on because I think it's super important to our school to do that.
I will say, you know, this building is Fitzhugh Park, and Dr. Littman, you can probably say, but we have some really great staff members who
We do.
everybody attends all of these events. We have 18 to 20 members on the Leader in Me committee. They believe in it, and I would hope that, that this program could continue on at Fitzhugh Park.
I just wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly, presentation. I love the fact that it's a system that gets two kids to build character at a young age and gives them tools to work throughout life. And the other part that I really appreciate is the common language element of it, so that you're all on the same page. So thank you very much for carrying on with it, and I hope it continues and we keep moving forward, so thank you.
I even had a second grader in my office who goes, I like that habit. It was seek first.
Seek first.
He was in there from my office, obviously, for an issue, but it was funny, just like, what's that one? That's my habit. He owned it.
At least he's honest.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time and information.
Thank you. No, thank you for bringing that.
Okay, so next up is our consent agenda. There's quite a bit on the consent agenda. We have the special ed board report of June 20th, our special education district plan, which was presented at our last meeting, capital project change order report for June, a number of May reports, the budget status report, OCSD district financial report, MD&A, treasurer's consolidated report, projected fund balance. Those are all for May 2023. We have the minutes of our board meeting from June 6th, the OMS extra classroom report and OHS extra classroom report for May, and the OCSD organizational chart for June 6th, or dated June 6th. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Dave. Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have personnel. Bob?
Thank you. Excuse me. Under items A and B, we have one administrative staff recommendation and a administrative resignation. Recommendation and one resignation, as presented.
Okay, is there a motion for A and B, administrative staff?
I'll move it.
Thanks, Jim. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Under item A, you just approve our Director of Accountability and Improvement, Mr. Sean Morgan, who's with us in the audience. If you can just stand up, Sean. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome to
Thank you.
Oswego.
Items C through F are professional staff recommendations, as presented.
Is there a motion for C through F?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Jim. Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, items G through K are support staff recommendations, as presented.
G, is there a motion for G through K?
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Tom.
Second.
Thanks, Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, items L through Y, we have temporary employees, we have substitute and temporary employees, extended school year, extra compositions, as well as a grouping of other extra compensatory recommendation. And the last one, Y, is extracurricular volunteers. So items L through Y as presented.
Is there a motion for L through Y?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Bob. Okay, next on to finance. Nancy.
Items A through D are donations as presented.
Is there a motion for A through D?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, but
Thank
since
you.
Pam isn't here, I'd just like to say thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for all the donations. Are always appreciated. Thank you.
E is for
Oh,
the
well,
board.
hold on, I
Oh, I'm
forgot to,
sorry.
yeah, sorry, I'm slow. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, sorry, go ahead,
Sorry
Nancy.
about that. E is for the board to approve the funding of reserves for any surplus at the end of this school year, for the capital reserve up to 1.5 million, technology and equipment reserve up to 1.5 million, and bus reserve up to 1.5 million from unappropriated fund balance as of June the 30th, 2023.
Okay, is there a motion for E, the funding of reserves?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion?
So I'd like to speak against doing this now. For the last 2 years, we have talked about this as a board. Granted, not everybody was the same board. But we talked about the fact that we're making this decision without knowing exactly what our actual fund balance will be. And for the last 2 years, we have held off doing this until we have had our audit and we've known the actual amount that that money would be. As I understand it from those previously conversations, that is something that this district had not done before those previous couple years, but is something that is perfectly fine. As long as we know that that is our schedule, we can do that accordingly. So one of my issues, as I've brought up the last couple years, is that we really don't know what the number is. So as the motion has been moved and seconded, the capital reserve can be funded up to 1.5 million, the technology and equipment reserve up to 1.5 million, and the bus reserve up to a maximum of 1.5 million. So if the number came in at 3 million, we actually in our consent agenda a couple minutes ago passed our fund balance projection, which is to be at 2.6 million as of this meeting. Let's say it's $3 million. As I understand it, and please Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong, if we approve this motion today, if it's $3 million, we are abdicating the responsibility of allocating those monies to your office. So if there were $3 million left over, you could divide those $3 million between any of those monies without coming back, notifying, or having another vote by the board. Is that correct?
So, true, it wouldn't go for a vote to the board, but you would have to accept the basic financial statements at the end of the year, which shows what is put into reserves at the end of the year. So, in essence, you are approving the funding of the reserves. What we've always done, too, is the way that they're listed and the amounts for a maximum up to is what reserve would get funded first. So the capital reserve would get funded first for any surplus. So for example, if there was a surplus of $2 million at the end of this year, 1.5 would go into the capital reserve. Then the rest, the other 500,000 would go into the technology and equipment reserve. And you would see that in the audited financial statements at the end of the year.
Okay. So as you were saying, the board, after our audit is done, which the audit's done, the auditors have given everything. I hate to say it because I can't say that I could go through our audit to the level of knowing every line item. So it's kind of one of the things that I view as we're accepting and trusting that our auditors have done the job without big glaring problems. So what we're saying is, sorry, what you may be saying as I'm hearing it is that we be accepting what has been done based solely upon the fact that the auditor said it was done, as opposed to actually saying, maybe I would like to spend the money in this way or that. So I can see as the money comes in, but the act would have already been done and decided, and it would be us to say from the auditor's report, oh, I kind of wish it would have gone another way. I wish we would have put money in there differently. So again, it seems very much to me like a cart before the horse, making a decision on allocating monies that we don't know what we have yet. This year, this report says 2.6 million. Last year's at this time, it was 2 million, where we ended up with 4.3. The year before that, it said 2.6 million, where we ended up with 7.5. So other than my scenario of saying we have less than, it's actually a distinct possibility that when the auditors come back, we'll have more than, and then we'll have to then figure out how to allocate monies on top of this. So it's like we do an allocation of funds Part A, and then if we have more money in allocation Part B, but if it's only Part A, we actually don't have the final say on how this money goes in beyond this motion of, as you've clarified, and thank you, that the first 1.5 mil would go into capital, the second 1.5 would go into, and so on. So what I'm going to say is I am going to make a motion to table, but that motion, if seconded, is non-debatable, and I hate shutting off debate. So I'm going to hold on the motion in case other people have something to say, just because, again, I don't like the idea of shutting down debate.
So, I mean, I guess, so this has come up every year, and for 2 years, we've put it off, and the auditors, I think, are uncomfortable with us putting it off to the end. So, you raised a lot of points. The auditors are auditing our books. The state will audit us as well, right? But we basically have to trust that they're figuring out the allocations. But I think this is really, like, this is a very, like, it's a disciplinary difference from the exactitude of science that you do and the kind of, I will call it wishy-washy of finance, where we have money coming in. Well, I mean, it is, right? We have money coming in, we have receivables coming in, we have money that we're encumbering for the next year. Like, it takes a while to get to those final exact numbers, which is why the audit, normally, I think it's like October that we see the final audited numbers, even though the year, our fiscal year ends June 30th. Because it takes a while to go through all of those things. But one of the things that this board did was pass a reserve plan that would lay out the order of what we're prioritizing to fund. And this is following, I believe, that reserve plan. And so, and Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong, but any future reallocation that goes in would come to the board anyway, right? Like, so if in October they say, oh, there's another like 2 million that we didn't expend because, you know, somebody resigned and we have 2 months worth of income or of payroll that we are now have in reserve. That is going to come before the board, but this at least gets those preliminary numbers in there of where we're going to prioritize what we want to fund. We know we need money in the capital fund. I think that is very clear, and it should be clear to anyone who's watching or paying attention. Like, we are not going to, our capital project is not going to be funded because of the increase in prices, right? So we know we need money in our capital fund. And then our 2 new funds that we created. Any additional ones are going to come before the board. It's not like the business office just makes those allocations and does it without public notice of them, correct? It's just this at least gets the first, we'll just call it 4.5 million, should it be there, into some place so that they know what they're working with left, what they have left to work with, because this is what we wanted to prioritize. So I'm speaking for this motion to at least get these started to fund.
At this point, if you did not want to put 1.5 million, up to 1.5 million in each of those reserves, you could say I want it all to go into the capital reserve. You can make that decision now, and then that's what I would tell the auditors when they come in for their final external review. so you can make that decision. I just put this in there because I knew we had 2 new reserves that were created. And I knew that we needed money in the capital reserve for the next project that the board can decide from the
What
building
comes after
condition
3B?
survey.
Well, I was going to just say the same thing. We could change the numbers if we wanted to, but in principle, particularly the capital reserve, it's like, we know it's there. We know it's going to be needed. That's the minimum. I mean, I'm glad to look at 1.5 million because, again, that's being responsible to the taxpayers too, because we're setting this aside to handle their local share once we go into our next capital project, because we will be able to do that. That's one part. The other part with the technology and equipment reserve, again, we could change the number on that, but I do think it's important because I do think there's equipment throughout the district that needs replacement that I don't think we've done. We also have not done furniture over the years. We've done a little here and there, but never had anything solid in terms of replacing furniture. And as education changes from the industrial approach to a more collaborative approach, looking at things differently, since we're not going to be able to do a capital project, huge capital projects changing structure, we can change the environment. That will be part of the educational environment that we set. So I look at it that way. I'm willing to change the numbers, but I don't think that we should not fund or not at least begin to fund. And the bus reserve as well, Jim. I think we spoke about that before, purchasing versus leasing, and also being prepared for the electric transition down the line. So it'll be in our best interest at least to start funding these. So I would like for it to go through, but if I'm amenable to changing the amounts.
Okay, so tough having 5 board members. Anybody who doesn't know it in the audience, New York State law says 4 votes are necessary to carry anything by board matters. But from hearing this, I don't think I'll get it, but I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to make a motion to table this.
Okay, there's a motion to table E, funding of reserves. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any additional discussion on this motion? Discussionable. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
I was an aye.
You were an aye? Okay. All right, so it's tabled to come back at the next. Did you want to, or are you just tabling it for
So there were 4 yeas? I'm sorry. I
3?
miscounted. 3 yeas doesn't pass my motion.
Oh, right,
You're right.
okay.
Well, 3-2 doesn't win. 4, you got to have 4. It's state law. Well,
Damn
that's the
those
past motion.
Democratic majorities.
Yeah, it is the way it is. Having heard that, I do have a motion. I move to amend the motion that we fund the capital reserve up to a maximum of $3 million, period.
Okay, so there is a move to amend E to
fund the capital reserve to, you said 3 million?
$3 million, maximum.
$3 million, and remove funding the technology and equipment reserve and the bus reserve. Remove those two from the motion. Is there a second? Okay, seeing none, we're voting on the original motion to, actually, I didn't look up. I didn't hear one. Okay. So voting on the original motion to fund the capital reserve up to 1.5, as a start, with our preliminary numbers, fund the capital reserve to 1.5 million, the technology reserve to a maximum of 1.5 million, and the bus reserve to a maximum of 1.5 million. Is there well, we already have it. So any further discussion on this?
Yes. So I'm disappointed in the last motion, especially since our budget right now says our projected fund is 2.6 million, but it is that way. Nancy, can you please clarify for me from our previous discussion, the technology and equipment reserve,
Must that go out to a vote to the general public to be able to expend from that reserve fund?
I would have to get back to you on that. I didn't look up
My
the
recollection is
reserves
yes.
before I came.
How about the bus reserve?
That one, I believe it does, but I want to confirm.
Okay. So part of my issue when this came up last time, I think I was on one of them, the sole vote. The other one, I think there were 2 votes against. Creating the reserve in the first place is the logic that we would need to go back to the general public to expend from these funds. So the idea that we have some computer technology or equipment, desks, chairs, Tom, as you mentioned, that we would have to do this and go to the public for a vote. There was a speak of generators when we talked about equipment. If a generator for a building went, right, David, that's a $500,000 ticket price that if we wanted to expend money from that account, we would have to get together a vote and polls and literally, and that we couldn't expend from that fund without it. So I did speak against those funds at that point. I don't believe that these funds are what we should be putting money in. So, God, I keep making amendments all day. I wish one of these said that we fund our unemployment or workers' comp. Some of the ones we can use a little more latitude of moving the money out of, especially the fact that we've been talking a lot about the nuke reserves and the fact that we don't have a fund, but we're going to possibly have a lot of money if one of the nuclear plants is decommissioned in 2027, 2029.
Just to be clear, not have a lot of money, owe a lot of money.
Oh, a lot, sorry.
Be missing a lot of money.
There you go. My misspeak. Thank you very much. So it seems to me is that without knowing if the technology, to vote on this, I think we should know if the Technology and Equipment Reserve Fund is a restricted fund to votes. So for that reason, I think we should be voting against this. We can't bring up a table again. It doesn't work. We've already done that. I've already attempted that. I will remind the board that it takes 4 yes votes to pass this. So regardless of your votes previously, I will be voting against this now in hopes that we will be able to discuss this at another board meeting. Thank you.
So can I just clarify, we can't actually move money out of workers' comp, right? The only one we can move money out of is unemployment?
No, you can move it out of workers' comp. They're flexible reserves.
Okay.
But you need to fund the reserves really for the purpose of what they're there for.
Can I ask for a roll call vote?
Yep. Okay, so on E, funding the reserves, capital technology and bus, Tom Chiappa,
Yes.
Jim McKenzie,
No.
Sean Onmacht,
No.
Dave Crisafulli,
No.
and Lisa Glidden is a yes. Okay, the motion fails. On to F.
F is a memorandum of understanding between the district and Jennifer Vrooman, and this is for instructional coaching for the community Christian school, not to exceed $895, and that is to be paid for through title funds.
Is there a motion for F?
I'll move it.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll second.
Jim, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Items G through H are MOUs with agribusiness child development for our elementary schools, and it is for the Head Start program as presented.
Is motion for G through H?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Item I is a contract with RDS, and this is for an audit of our retiree drug subsidy account as presented.
Motion for I?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
J is the contract with Left Bank Consulting, and this is for professional development for our high school as well as to create a graduate profile and a freshman academy. And this is for $12,000 to be paid through title funds as presented.
Is there a motion for J?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Thank you. They're not here anymore.
K is an agreement with the Leader in Me for Fitzhugh Park School as presented.
Okay. So,
We didn't
actually,
vote
to
last
pause that
Oh,
for
I'm
a second.
sorry.
So motion, sorry, on J, all in favor of the contract with Left Bank Consulting?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now Leader in Me. Yeah. Is there a motion for the K, the agreement with Leader in Me?
I'll move it.
Thanks, Dave. Second? Sean, any discussion?
Now, that was the, yes, thank you to everybody.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
L is an agreement with Hillside for therapeutic education programming on an as-needed basis as presented.
Is there a motion for L?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I think Jim seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
M is our annual agreement with Omni for our 403B program as presented.
Is there a motion for M?
Move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
N is for our annual agreement with City BOCES for our cooperative purchasing, food and cafeteria supply bid, and specialty bid resolutions as presented.
Okay, is there a motion for N?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Items O through R are the AIA documents for our Phase 3B capital project as presented.
Is there a motion for O through R?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And S through double C are all of the maintenance agreements for the next fiscal year as presented.
Is there a motion for S through double C?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And double D is the facilities use agreement with Champion Events for next year as presented.
Okay, is there a motion for DD?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
A couple things I got to give Nancy regarding the locks there and some things that happened during the softball season that they might not be aware of happened.
Okay, and you'll give those to her
Yeah, I'll
outside the
give,
meeting?
it's nothing really important, just like they changed the locks on the coaches once. There was buses and carloads of people on Churchill Road one time because the gates were locked, and just little things like that they probably they're not even aware of.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Nancy. All right, are there any items from the board this evening? Well, I guess, yeah, I'll read what we're going to give to Maura. And actually, I mean, I have to also say, Maura has really made herself available this summer. She really wants to be involved in the superintendent search, so I know that she's not like graduating and disappearing. She's plans to be around, but I've had the opportunity to work with 3 different student representatives on the board, and they've all brought different things to the table and have been wonderful. And Maura has also just been really a pleasure to work with. So this is a certificate thanking her for her dedicated service as the student representative to the school board, which is a lot of work for, her fitting this into her very busy schedule was greatly appreciated. So we'll make sure that she gets, it's not a bottle of wine. We'll make sure she gets these things.
She's not here, but I think we should clap for a second.
Yes. I guess the other thing I would like to do, I'm sorry, Dave, is I'd like to thank Jeff Gordon. This is his last evening with us as interim superintendent. I really appreciate the perspective and insight and humor he has brought to our meetings. I think it was very helpful to allow for Jeff to come in as interim superintendent, gave Amanda the time to step back and finish the assistant superintendent position. And we're also grateful that she'll be coming back in as acting superintendent starting July 1st. But it's been really a pleasure to work with you. And I thank you for, you had a taste of retirement and then came out of it to come here, which is really greatly appreciated because I can't imagine saying yes once I'm not working anymore. So thank you very much.
I'll just thank you all as well. You've all been a pleasure to work with, the board, getting to know the board. And while I have the chance, I want to thank the Education Center staff as well, everybody, administrators and all the staff over there, because they've been really great to me, and I do appreciate that. And I certainly will be watching and keeping track of Oswego in the future, and I wish you all well. And I'll probably be up at Rudy's a few times this summer if anybody wants to meet me there.
Okay. Any other items from the board?
I was just going to thank Jeff. but-
Oh, okay. Okay, so at this point, we have entertained a motion to move to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel issues.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. It's 6:06 PM, and there won't be a need for a vote.